Hello and welcome to another Drive-In Double Feature. I'm Ryan,
I'm Nathan.
and this is the podcast where we talk about two movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. But before I get into anything at all, we have a Patreon over at patreon.com/Drive-In Double Feature Podcast. It's just got some fun games, some fun conversations over there between two friends that are just having a good old laugh talking about movies and how much they love it. Go over there and you can support us right now. All of our money goes right back into the show. It's only $5 a month, and it doesn't interrupt any regular content. But today, we are talking about the Stepford Wives, and that is from 1975, directed by Brian Forbes.
This movie is
It's
directed by
based
a
off,
man. Oh,
yeah. I know how typically like all movies are directed by women,
yeah,
and
that's normal.
this was a very highly controversial. They picked a man to direct a movie.
Wow, that's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy, especially at this time.
I know. But this movie is based off of a book by Ira Levine, and I've never had seen this one. I had seen the 2004 remake with Nicole Kidman,
Mhm.
and I actually saw that in theaters, I remember.
Oh wow, and you
So
didn't like it then?
no, I remember like we had it on
Okay,
DVD, so I remember it being like somewhat decent.
okay.
But I know that movie is very critically panned though, and like I said, that was 20 years ago, over 20 years ago. So I
Hmm.
mean, my taste in that one could easily have changed, but
Hmm.
um, that one was, and also that the tone of the each movie are wildly different.
Yeah.
So, um, Nathan, had you ever seen the Stepford Wives, or at least known about like what the premise was?
Yeah, I feel like I've known about this movie for a while because I mean the remake, and then I just knew that there was an original. I want to say I love the '70s talks about the Stepford Wives, and that's why I know it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I knew the twist and everything. Like I know what this movie is about. I know what happens in the end, or maybe it's just popular enough that it's kind of a part of pop culture. So I've known about this movie. I've known the twist. I know what it's about, but never seen it. So it's just been on the top of my list. Maybe not the top of my list, but it's been on my watch list for a long time.
Yeah. And I remember like wanting to see the original for a while just because I remember when I watched the original one, like I Googled it and it said, there's an original one, and
Hmm.
it's you see the poster and it's just like a woman's head like half
Hmm.
shattered like glass on the poster, and it looked really interesting. I was like, oh, like, I just like the poster. It looks pretty cool. And
Hmm.
um pulling a Nathan there, it's like, oh, poster, I want to watch. And
Well, at least this one has something behind it. I see a poster
yeah.
for a movie that like two people have seen, and it's like, all right,
Uh I'd be like, oh, this would be perfect for a podcast in 20 years.
yeah, a podcast, whatever that is.
But anyway, yeah, I had been wanting to watch it for a while, and I just was wanting to see like how different they are. And turns out they are very different from each other. So basically, this movie starts out with Catherine Ross, which you may remember her from The Graduate.
Hmm.
Uh, she plays the daughter in that movie. Um, and she and her husband have just moved to Stepford, and they're kind of acclimating because she was like a really I think like she was like a professional photographer. I think like her level of fame, she had like some noteworthiness to her.
Yeah, that's what it seemed. It's because the way she put it was like I'm a somewhat professional, like part-time photographer. She had a lot of words to put behind it, but yeah, she had her stuff like put in magazines and stuff. And actually, one of the first things we see from her at the beginning of the movie is them moving from New York and her taking a picture of a guy holding a sex doll, like which foreshadowing. Am I right? Foreshadowing so much. But but anyway, she's taking pictures of that. So yeah, she's like a photographer and she seems very independent. She does her own thing, but she has two kids as well with this guy.
Yeah, and they have like a pretty decent relationship. They're loving with each other, but you could definitely tell that there's something going on more like beneath the surface between them a little bit, like as the movie goes on.
Hmm.
Um, but when she gets to Stepford, at first they all love it. Everyone's really super nice and friendly. It's a very clean, upstanding town. Um, but then they start noticing like weird things, or at least Catherine Ross does, which her name is Joanna in this movie.
Hmm.
There's some things in here where she's just walking around and she walks across to her next door or neighbor across the street from her because they gave her like a little casserole, like here, it's like thank you for joining, like have a casserole, and she was returning the casserole dish to them, and all of a sudden like she's just like standing there in their front yard, like kind of peeping on like this couple, and they're like, he like the guy like kind of comes up behind her and like basically like grabs her boobs
Hmm.
and like and turns her around, and he's just like kind of peeking at her chest and stuff, and it's just like
Hmm.
ooh, and she's just like, oh my God, like and then she like runs back and tell her husband, she's like, I saw a man grabbing his wife's boobs, and it's just like that's supposed to be like alarming behavior.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that was a little odd too. Like the fact that she was like, "Whoa, hold on." But I think maybe it's because she didn't even know if it was her husband or not.
Well, that's
Uh
what she said. I mean, she said like, is that her husband or is that or because? But I mean, that's what it's implying. That's it. That
yeah.
was her husband,
Yeah.
and it was supposed to be like the fact that he would just so openly just grab her boobs, like I guess like out in
Hmm.
public like that. It's supposed to be like the main thing. Like they're supposed, like, oh, if you're gonna grab boobs, like do it behind closed doors there. But the thing is, though, is that they're in their front yard, which they thought they were secluded from, and
Yeah.
like Joanna is like in her yard, just like peeping on them, just kind of like staring at them.
Yeah, yeah, she was the one that was like being like voyeuristic, like watching them, which is a little odd. And then she's complaining to her husband about it, which I think her husband wasn't as upset about it because her
No,
husband,
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
well, her husband the whole time is like, "Oh, we're gonna christen every room in this new house. We're gonna make love in every single room in this house," going off about that, even though there's children running around at the same time.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's like, I don't see the big deal. It's like if I
Yeah.
wanted to grab my wife's boobs, he like grabs at her, it's like stop, stop, like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Um, which I always think it's so funny, the dynamic between these two because it's one of those movies where you think like, why are these two together? They don't feel like they fit together, like as a couple.
No, I mean, you got this one guy, he's just kind of like I don't know, like he's not very like noteworthy, I don't think. Like the guy playing her husband,
Hmm.
um, which is his name is Peter Masterson.
Hmm.
Like I think he's kind of like I mean, I think he's kind of bland, but that might be kind of like the point,
I
maybe,
think
where
I think that's the point because he's kind of balding. He's kind of just like an older guy. So I think the idea maybe is that these are just like plain average Joes, and then they move here, and that's how they change their women into like the the sorry that the typical woman role that they want them to be in.
yeah, well, she does eventually make her way around town and she meets all the other wives because that's kind of like the thing. And she runs into one named Charmaine, which is played by Tina Louise. Does that ring any bells for
It
you,
does
Nathan?
not.
Okay. Well, she used to be Ginger on Gilligan's Island, if you ever watched that at all. But
No, not really.
that's okay. That's our age difference showing there. But
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I didn't really watch reruns of Gilligan's.
but anyway, yeah, she's there. She plays Charmaine. There's a woman named Carol Van Zant. That's the one with her, getting her boobs grabbed, and
Hmm.
Uh, and then also too, there's Bobby, which is she's supposed to be like this. 'Cause she's supposed to be like a Jewish like New Yorker that's like
Yeah.
kind of there like visiting too, and she's like, I've lived here in Stepford for 4 months and I've just been going crazy. Like, it's just
Hmm.
I don't feel like I fit in what at all. But so because like all these women are kind of acting really kind of strange and just very kind of submissive to their husbands, or kind of like airheaded with their things. And Bobby is the only one that's kind of like talking sense with Joanna. Like she's like, no, yeah, something weird is going on here, type of
Yeah.
thing.
And if anything, Bobby's like the of the two, she's the one who's becoming more and more she's questioning more and more, and she digs deeper. This is way later in
I,
the movie, but Bobby thinks there's something in the water that is making women more submissive in the town. So they start investigating, where I feel like Catherine Ross, or sorry, Joanna, she she's more just like, "Oh, I don't know what to do, what's going on." Like she is so lost in all of this.
yeah, and I do want to say though, Bobby though, even though she's supposed to be like from New York, she has a very thick Southern accent too, which I was kind of
So
like thrown off by.
So Ryan, you said she was a Jewish New Yorker, and I was like, oh, I didn't even realize that. I thought she was supposed to be Southern because she has a very strong Southern
It,
accent.
they say it in the movie, like she's like, oh, I'm
I
from
don't
New
remember that.
York, like.
I mean, I think she does say she's from New York, but still, like, that accent, I must have forgotten it because it's like she's not even trying to mask it whatsoever.
Well, because, and I mean, maybe I'm mixing up roles because in the remake, this role is played by Bette Midler, who, very much
Oh,
is like
yes.
that type of person. And anyway, she's kind of like her best friend in the role. Like I said, she also knows Charmaine, who's like really into tennis.
Which
And
Charmaine isn't quite turned over yet.
no, and that's kind of like this point where they kind of realize something weird is going on because this is much later in the movie. She talks about how much she loves tennis. They go out and hang out with her at the tennis courts.
Hmm.
And later in the movie, they tear up like the tennis courts, and they pave it over with a part, like this new area.
I think he's going to make a pool because he always wanted a
Right.
pool. And she's just like, oh, well, he wanted a pool, and all I want to do is just make him happy. I don't even care about tennis. I got to clean up around the house. Um,
Yeah.
which is what
Yeah.
everybody's thing is because they even like want to do like a feminist meeting to talk about women's issues all together. And of course, they get all the women in there, and then they end up doing like an ad for cleaning products. So it's like, oh,
That,
yeah, this will get the floors cleaner.
right. Well, it's like they're having like this big discussion, because that it's funny. They were like, oh, I when I was in New York, I tried this thing called Women's Lib, or like they
Yeah.
make it seem like it's a very. I mean, I guess at the time it was, but they're like,
Yes, it was.
it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, so like, oh yeah, there's this new thing called Women's Lib. I'm just kind of
Hmm.
we're kind of learning about it, and like you said, they're kind of there to talk about like issues as women, but instead, it turns into like this housewife meetup where it's like these pesky stains, like I just can't get rid of them. It's like, oh, have you tried this cleaning product? Like this will
Hmm.
just make your floor shine like new. And
Yeah, it's actually pretty funny. This movie jumps around a lot from comedy to like it. So I will say it tries to be a thriller, but I don't know about you. This movie is very slow moving. It is almost 2 hours long, and like it's a slow burn. I didn't hate the slow burn here, but it definitely like it chugs for a little bit.
I would have preferred a more 'cause we do kind of get like an exciting incident later in the movie, but I would have
Yeah.
liked it for it to have happened earlier because
Hmm.
uh this movie is more of like a mystery
Yeah.
almost of what's going on, because these women, who have their own thoughts and opinions, and then like the next day they run into them and it's just like they're completely different people.
Hmm.
And because that kind of happens later in the movie, like I said with Bobby, Bobby's like her best friend. Oh, I do want to mention there's another like weird peeping scene that they're just like, because like Bobby and Joanna, I forget whose house they run into, but they run into somebody's house, and they're like, oh, I heard them. Like they walk into somebody's house because the door is unlocked, and they can hear like a couple having sex upstairs. You don't see anything,
Yeah.
but you can hear them, and she's just like, oh, oh my God, oh, just moaning and making like a
Hmm.
big deal about it, and they're just like, it's not normal. Like women shouldn't be having that much pleasure.
Well, that's what another thing that I thought was weird and kind of messed up. Kind of messed up when they go to the pharmacy and they see the couple, and it's like the pharmacist, and he's like an older dude, average, balding, and they're like, "There's no way that that man is pleasing her that much," and it's like, "Come on, give the guy a
It's like
chance. You don't
you
know
don't
him,"
know.
and it's like there's something wrong. She was enjoying that. Like, okay, chill out.
Uh, which that scene does exist in the remake,
Okay.
but it's much more exaggerated. Where
Okay.
she's like screaming at the top of her lungs, just like how like in pleasure, like
Okay.
like type of thing. So it makes it sound like it's like ridiculous, like what
Yeah.
what they're doing up there.
And
And
from what I know, the new one is much campier. I thought this movie was going to be campy, but it really wasn't. And the new one's more leaning on its comedy trappings.
oh oh yeah, the other one is definitely more of a comedy, but this one, like I said, I what I do like too is like they have another line in this movie which I didn't mention. They're like, it's like we're actually like one of the most liberal cities out there, and they're like, oh, it's like really? It's like, oh yeah, didn't you see we just opened up a new Chinese food restaurant? And
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
love that.
it's like, oh, and we actually are letting in like the first black couple to live here too. Like we're so progressive.
Uh-huh, yeah. But that's how they learn because they used to have meetings for women a while ago, and then they've all disappeared. Nobody wanted to do it anymore. Um, And then that's when they go and try to recruit all the women, and every woman in town is just like, "No, I love my husband, and I don't have time for stuff like that." It's saying it's a waste of time, and then moving on to like, "Oh, I love baking and things like that."
Yeah, and there's this weird club of men too,
Yeah.
because they do kind of recruit Joanna's husband, and the leader of this group is some guy that they call Diz, which
Hmm.
is basically this guy. Like they're like, well, why do they call you Diz? He's like, oh, he's like they call me that because cause I remind them of Disney,
Hmm.
like Walt Disney. Like I make their dreams come true type of thing.
Well, wait, doesn't he say that he used to work at Disney?
Is that what he said? I know I thought it
I
was
think
because like he.
I think he says he because I used to work at Disney, and he's like, she's like, I don't believe you did because
Oh,
I don't think you could make other people happy.
that's
Uh,
you. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
because
Yeah.
and he says that because I mean, just to reveal the ending, you come to find out he doesn't say it, but he worked on the animatronics at Disney, so that's how he was able to make these robotic women. Because that's what it seemed like. All the men had their special place because they had a really famous artist there who's able to draw the women perfectly, and then there's the guy who knows a lot about voices and accents, and that's why he's recording all the voices of the women, including her, so they could get the voice for the animatronic. And then I don't know what this guy was supposed to bring to the group. I guess legal protection since he's a lawyer, just in case they ever got in trouble.
That's true.
Yeah.
But
Um.
I did like that one language guy though, because he's like he kind of has a stutter, and he's
Mhm.
like I really love languages, and he's like he's like you may have noticed that I stammered, and it's like, oh
Oh,
really? No, it was so
I never
subtle.
knew. Yeah. Yeah, I like that too. Uh.
uh, but yeah, I yeah, that's true though. Like, but they do recruit
Mhm.
Joanna's husband, and kind of like the big twist going on because we still don't really know what's going on, but this is
Mhm.
much later in the movie. Like this is probably in the last 30 minutes or so. Like Bobby disappears,
Hmm.
And then she comes back and she starts acting really odd. Well, like, there's some like little ticks here and there. Like there's this one like party that they go to. It's just like
Hmm.
I forget what she says, but she's like, I would just die if I don't have that recipe, or like I would just.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
She just says this one phrase, Carol, which she says this one phrase like over and over again, and
Hmm.
they're like, oh, that's weird, but they blame it on that she's an alcoholic. She's like, oh yes, like I can't. I'm just turned into like this complete monster when I just drink.
I
Me.
asked for recipes. Oh, it's
Yeah,
horrible.
yeah, and but anyway, yeah, there's little ticks like that happen. But Bobby, it shows up and she's kind of acting really weird, and um, Joanna's just like, who are you? Like, you're not my friend anymore. Like, this is not
Hmm.
normal, and because she's just not even acting like herself anymore. And then Joanna at one point like says like, do you even bleed? Like here, like she grabs a knife
Hmm.
and Joanna like slices her hand open, her own hand, and she's bleeding. And she's like, do you even bleed? And she stabs Bobby
Hmm.
right in the stomach, and there's no blood. She just kind of pulls it out. And then she just kind of starts doing like this one like motion where she's making a cup of coffee and she keeps dropping it on the floor and
Hmm.
starts malfunctioning. And she's like, "Ugh." So that's when we kind of realize like, okay, these women are all robots now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we don't realize till way later. And I didn't remember that part. I knew there was something wrong, but I didn't realize that they were robots or that they were Disney animatronics. Like, because she even says, like, oh, it's like the animatronics at Disneyland, which, man, these people want to marry a Disney, like, animatronic?
Uh, well, which animatronic do you want to marry from Disney,
Oh,
Nathan? Like,
Figment, the dragon, please.
oh no, I gotta go for one of the country bears.
The Country Bears, yeah, yeah,
I,
that's a good
the
choice
one,
too.
the one playing the jug.
Yeah, with like the one tooth or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I go for.
Uh-huh.
But
Ooga. But but yeah, and she does all this because she's like pushed to her limits because she's starting to like she wants to leave, she wants to move out of Stepford, and her husband's like, "We'll leave, but you need to see a psychiatrist." Like forces her to see a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist doesn't even she like believes her, but like it's like I have to go. Like I won't be able to help you now, but I will come back and help you.
well, she does advise her because that was like the whole thing. Is because like she said, Joanna's like, I don't trust anybody in this town. Like, I want to get out of here. And her husband's like, okay,
Hmm.
well, you need to go see a therapist. She's like, well, I'm going to pick the therapist. And so
That's
she
right.
does pick it, and they had this lengthy discussion. She just says like, I don't trust anyone in this town, and she's like, I just don't even want to stay here another night. And she advises her, it's like, don't even wait. Like, just grab your kids, get
Hmm.
out of town, like, and let me know where you're staying afterwards.
Hmm. And
And
that that's
that's
where
that leads up to the climax.
yeah, that's where like the big finale happens where she comes home and her husband's there and he's like, "No, the kids are with somebody else and then you're going to just go lay down and get it like and it's really depressing because it's very 70s movies have these dark depressing endings. I feel like it's just very of the time. Because she's so helpless in this situation. Like she's not able to fight back and it's just like she's pushed to the brink where she ends up at Diz's house and is like being told like, "Yep, we have your replacement and you're going to be replaced." And and his reasoning is like, "Oh, what would you do if you had the chance to have some hunky muscular man wake you up every day and do everything for you?" And it's like disgusting, but it is their way of thinking.
Wow. And that's kind of like the big reveal at the end because she does like beat up her husband. Like she hits him
She
in the
does.
face with a fire poker and like slices
Yeah,
his face.
that's right.
And because he's like our kids are our kids are staying with friends. He kept saying you need to go upstairs and go lay down, like because her husband is fully on board now with these
Yeah.
Stepford guys, and they use like a vocal record because he tells them it's like, oh, they're at Diz's house and the kids, and she runs over there, and you can hear like the kids like voice recording,
Hmm.
and they're because she gets up to the room because she hears their voices, and it turns out to be just like a tape.
Yep.
And at the end, though, like once she finally sees like her replica, like her the
Hmm.
robot that's gonna replace her, and she's like really like done up, got like all this makeup on, long flowing hair, and
Hmm.
I did notice that's like her boobs were bigger too.
Yes, yeah. And what she was wearing was completely like see-through.
Hmm. So that's kind of like what we see. Then we kind of go to this fade to black moment. Well, that's the other thing too. Like her eyes, like the replica's eyes, are also like
Hmm.
completely black
Yeah.
too. So it's this really like it's a really cool visual. I thought, just like this robot replica with black eyes, just kind of walking towards Joanna, and then we go to like fade to black, comes back, has all the Stepford wives like shopping in this grocery store, just kind of like picking out groceries in their nice big sundresses, and they have their big hats, and
Hmm.
and then we see Joanna, and she's fully become like a Stepford, and just and like, oh hi Charmaine, oh hi Bob, that type
Yeah.
of thing, and
It's such a great ending because it's so dark, and then it's this bright, beautiful grocery store, and all these women in these fancy outfits are just walking. And but it's like got this tinge of just like, oh, nothing worked out. Like everybody's a Stepford wife now. Like, except we do see the black family at the end, and they're kind of fighting, and the wife is like, "There's something weird going on here." She's also saying,
yeah. Yeah, she's fully aware of it, which was I thought was funny. It was setting up
"Yeah,
for another one, but yeah, that's how the movie ends. It does ends up on a close up of Joanna's face.
hmm,
Spoilers for the remake if you care,
I don't care."
but the movie that the ending for that one was it goes for a happy ending
That's what
where
I assume.
so and they couldn't make up their mind. Like that was one thing that was inconsistent in the remake is that they couldn't make up their mind if they were actually robots or if they had microchips like implanted into their brain that controlled them.
Okay.
And because it was very inconsistent, but yeah, the whole thing was like Nicole Kidman was like the Joanna in that movie, and you think she gets turned into a Stepford at a certain point, but it turns like nope, she was just faking it, and she was just acting to be that way.
Oh my
and
God.
and that her and Matthew Broderick were actually like teamed up with each other because they were like, oh, well, we're married, we're not going to do that to each other, type of thing. And they're able to take down the whole organization, and everyone else is like, we're free, type of thing. But
Yeah, not as good. Doesn't seem as poignant.
no, and the ending of this one is so much better than that one. One thing too I want to mention is that this movie was directed by Brian Forbes, but one thing that was kind of contentious on set was the rivalry between Brian Forbes and the screenwriter of this movie, William
Really?
Goldman.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, and this one, uh, like I said, the movie was based off of a book, and how William Goldman kind of wrote it was that he had the women be done up a lot more scandalously or a lot more sexy, and
Really?
it's like they were like all kind of like Playboy bunny types,
Hmm.
and like have like these like sex symbols like walking around, but Brian Forbes had actually cast his wife Nanette Newman, who is Carol in this movie,
Oh, okay.
and William Goldman said this I've read this quote. He was just like, yeah, she's like she's a nice lady, but sexually attractive, no way.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my God, like
And you wrote
it's
this movie?
and because he got mad that he cast him in this movie, that he cast her in this movie,
Yeah.
and it's like so they kind of like changed the tone of it where they had them all walking around these big sundresses and big hats type of thing,
Yeah,
like very traditional housewife sort of thing.
which I mean maybe makes it feel a little more grounded in a way because I feel like if they were walking around like sex symbols, it'd be so obvious of like there's something wrong, right? Where like this is supposed to be a little more mysterious, like, oh well, they're just housewives. What's the deal with that?
I think the direction they went in is much better because it kind of goes it's kind of setting the tone for like, the traditional housewife, and this is kind of like the woman that they're expecting, like, kind of
Yeah.
like these people like they're only there to serve them in the house.
Exactly. Like what they believe is like the role of a woman in a household, and they'll make them that way.
Yeah, and then the other point where they got there was there was a scene, I guess, at the end which Brian Forbes had cut that William Goldman wrote. Like it was supposed to be like this violent murder scene of Joanna's replica killing Joanna.
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't think that's necessary.
No, I didn't think so either. And I thought the ending they went with is much better. Like you don't have to show everything. Like we get it. Like
Hmm.
Joanna, the Joanna we knew is dead.
Yes.
So um but yeah, that's kind of where the movie ends. But that's not where the series ends, Nathan, because there's
Really? Oh,
also
that's right. Yeah.
there's sequels, Nathan. And don't forget, there is one from 1980 called The Revenge of the Stepford Wives, starring Don Johnson,
Oh wow. With Don Johnson, that's how you know it's good.
uh, pre-Miami Vice Don Johnson, so you know it's good.
Oh yeah.
There's all there's also Stepford Children,
They're replacing the kids.
which is stars Barbara Eden, which
My
for
name's
anybody out there
horrible.
that's Jeannie from I Dream of Jeannie.
Oh my God.
And then the Stepford Husbands in 1996.
Wow. They decided they're gonna swap the roles.
Yeah. Oh, which also has Louise Fletcher in it, Nathan. You could have picked that one.
I should have. We'll have to save that. We'll save that for the next Fletch month.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, overall, it's a much more subtle movie than I thought. Like I said, like you said, it is very slow paced mystery type of movie where you're trying to figure out what's going on with these women. I think I would have maybe enjoyed it more had I not known what the twist was because
Mm,
it's very I mean, like I already knew like okay, they're robots type of thing. And
yeah.
um but overall though, I mean, I enjoyed the tone that the movie set. It's I
Hmm.
kind of like it sometimes when they don't go super over the top with things. It's very much just like a woman, and I think Catherine Ross does a pretty decent job. Like, as a
Yeah.
she kind of starts out like kind of like really suspicious of things, and she kind of gets more desperate as the movie goes on. And um yeah, I mean, just the end, like you said, like we said before, like I really enjoyed the ending, like how it just ends on a super dark, creepy tone where it's just like that she's just not the same person anymore. So
Hmm.
for me, I mean, like I said, it's not the most exciting movie out there, so I would definitely give it like a light recommend. I enjoyed it. I don't know, like I said, if you're looking for something a little more fast paced, this probably wouldn't be the movie I would select. But overall, though, I liked it. I thought it was good.
No, I quite like this movie. I recommend it. Like you said, I like the performance. The tone is really solid. Um, I do think like it's not a great movie. I think the pacing
Yeah,
could have been helped. The mystery could have been stronger. It felt like it meandered a bit, but even so, I kind of liked. There were times where I liked the meandering. I liked the like just getting to know these wives and seeing Joanna go crazier and crazier throughout the rest of the movie. So I don't know. I thought it was just a really strong 70s movie. And like you said, the ending really sells this movie. So I say to definitely check it out if you haven't.
definitely. But I think that is going to do it for this week, Nathan. So, what are we talk about next time, Nathan?
All right. So I guess the best way to introduce this is we went to Barnes and Noble recently, and there was a big Criterion section. And you know what? I think it's my fiance said like let's pick random movies, and and then we'll just talk about those next week. So that's what we did. So I stuck my hand in. I stuck my hand in, and you know what I pulled out? The Beatles, A Hard Day's Night. So we will be talking about another music movie. I guess it kind of works. I picked these before, so that'll be fun. But Ryan, what did you pick out of the set?
Terrific. I can't wait for the Beatles one, by the way.
Hmm.
I I do want to mention too, before anyone asks, it's like these movies too, they were not in any alphabetical
No.
order or anything because whoever manages that Barnes and Noble, it was there. They don't organize those at all because you just pull out any movie, it'd be like you might get like an A next to a
Hmm.
T or something like that. So just to let you know, we weren't like just pulling out like in one letter.
Yeah,
So
we were
anyway,
just kind of hoping for it.
anyway, I stuck my hand in and I pulled out the movie Peeping Tom,
Perfect
which is
choice.
streaming on Tubi.
Awesome. And then mine is streaming on the Criterion channel and HBO Max.
Terrific. Well, it'll be a nice little random week. It was a nice little fun thing that we kind of thought of impromptu that we wanted to try out.
Hmm.
So you can come join us and find out what it is. If you have any thoughts and opinions, you can email us over at driveanddoubleFeaturePodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to check out our YouTube at youtube.com/driveanddoubleFeaturePodcast. And once again, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/driveanddoubleFeaturePodcast. But until next time.
Until next time.